Have you ever noticed that you start taking better care of yourself when someone is about to see you? Maybe there's a dinner coming up, a photo you might be in, a first date, a work event, a trip, a reunion, or maybe you might run into someone from your past, and suddenly you become more aware of everything. You choose your clothes more carefully. You pay attention to your skin. You think about what you have been eating. You try to sleep earlier. You stand a little straighter in the mirror. You want to look like you are doing well. And none of that is wrong. It is human to care how we are seen. It is human to want to feel attractive, put together, healthy, capable, and alive. But then there is the quieter part. When there is no event coming up, no camera, no person to impress, no one you are trying to prove something to, the care sometimes disappears. The meal becomes whatever is easiest. Sleep gets pushed aside. Your body becomes something you drag through the day. Your mind becomes a room you keep filling with noise, pressure, comparison, and unfinished thoughts. And the strange question is not, why do I care how I look? The deeper question is, why does someone else seeing me make me take myself more seriously than I do when I am alone? From the outside, this looks like a discipline problem. It looks like inconsistency. It looks like you just need to try harder, build better habits, love yourself more, get your routine together, and maybe part of that is true. But sometimes the problem is not that you do not know how to take care of yourself. Sometimes the problem is that you do not fully believe you are worth taking care of when there is no audience. That is where self-care becomes complicated, because a lot of people are not neglecting themselves in an obvious way. They are still improving. They are still working. They are still trying to become healthier, smarter, calmer, more attractive, more successful, more emotionally mature. They read the books, they watch the videos, they buy the clothes, they go to the gym. They try to become a better version of themselves. But underneath all of that effort, there can be a feeling that is hard to admit. It does not feel like caring for a person, it feels like fixing a project. It feels like editing yourself until you become acceptable. It feels like trying to build a version of yourself that will finally be easy to admire, easy to choose, easy to respect, easy to love. And when self-improvement starts from that place, it can look healthy from the outside while quietly hurting you on the inside. Because the question behind it is no longer, how do I live well inside this body, this mind, this life? The question becomes, how do I become someone people will approve of? That's a very different life. A person can look disciplined and still be driven by shame. Someone can look polished and still feel deeply disconnected from themselves. Someone can be praised for how much they have changed, while privately feeling like they are still not allowed to rest. This is why some forms of self-care leave you feeling strangely empty. You did the thing. You worked out. You ate better. You looked better. You were productive. You improved something. You became a little more impressive, at least on the surface. But instead of feeling closer to yourself, you feel like you have only made the performance more convincing. Because if the care was mostly meant to make you visible, desirable, or approved of, then even after you succeed, you still have to keep watching yourself from the outside. You do not get to live in yourself. You have to manage yourself. You have to check how you are appearing, how you are landing, how you are being interpreted, whether the image is still working. And slowly, without realizing it, your life becomes a kind of storefront. The front is clean, the lights are on, the display is arranged carefully. People passing by may think everything is beautiful, but behind it there may be rooms no one enters. Rooms that have not been cleaned in years. Rooms where you store exhaustion, resentment, old embarrassment, comparison, hunger, loneliness, and the quiet belief that you are only valuable when you are impressive. A beautiful front does not mean someone is living peacefully inside. And this is where a different image becomes useful. Instead of thinking of yourself as a project or a brand or a body that needs to be optimized, try thinking of yourself as a temple, not in a grand or dramatic way, not as a way to feel superior or special, just as a way to remember that you are not only something to be looked at, you are also a place where a life is happening. A temple has an outside, it has walls, structure, shape, presence. It can be beautiful, it can be cared for, it can be repaired, it can be made strong enough to last. In the same way, your body matters, not because it has to be perfect, not because it has to meet every standard, but because it is the structure that carries you through this world. It is how you wake up, walk, breathe, touch, work, love, endure, and begin again. Taking care of your body is not shallow, but it becomes shallow when the only question is, will this make me look better? A stronger question is, will this help me live here with more respect? That changes the meaning of care. Eating well is no longer just about controlling how you look. It becomes a way of not abandoning the body that has to carry your life. Rest is no longer laziness you have to justify. It becomes basic maintenance for the place you live in. Movement is no longer punishment for not being good enough. It becomes a way of keeping the structure alive. But a temple is not only its walls, there is also the inside, the quiet part. The part people cannot see from the road, the part that holds meaning. And this is where many people get stuck, because the outside gives faster feedback. You can see changes in the mirror. You can measure your body. You can change your clothes, your hair, your skin, your posture. Other people can notice. They can compliment you. They can confirm that the effort is working. But the inner life is harder. No one immediately sees how harshly you speak to yourself. But the inner life is harder. No one immediately sees how harshly you speak to yourself. No one applauds the day you stop comparing your life to someone else's. No one gives you public credit for choosing not to reopen a wound just to prove you are strong. No one necessarily knows when you decide to rest instead of forcing yourself to earn your worth one more time. The deepest forms of care often happen where nobody claps. That is why they require a different kind of self-respect, a kind that does not depend on being seen. To care for the inside of the temple means paying attention to what you allow to live in your mind. It means noticing the stories you keep repeating about yourself. It means asking whether your ambition is helping you grow or whether it has become a socially acceptable way to stay cruel to yourself. It means recognizing that not every voice in your head deserves to become the voice you obey. And it means understanding that being hard on yourself is not always the same as having standards. Sometimes it is just an old fear wearing the costume of discipline. This does not mean discipline is bad. It does not mean you should stop trying, stop caring, or let everything fall apart in the name of being gentle with yourself. There is a difference between respecting yourself and excusing yourself. But there is also a difference between discipline that comes from self-respect and discipline that comes from shame. Shame says, you are not enough yet, so fix yourself. Respect says, this life has been given to you, so do not treat it carelessly. Shame makes every habit feel like a trial. Every missed workout becomes evidence against you. Every tired day becomes a personal failure. Every imperfect version of you feels like something that should be hidden. Respect has a different tone. It still asks something of you, but it does not treat you like a problem. It does not demand improvement as the price of basic worth. It says, because you live here, take care of this place. Because your life matters, do not keep abandoning the one who has to live it. That is the central shift. You are not a project that needs to be repaired until it is finally worthy of being seen. You are a place that needs to be cared for because you have to live there. And once you understand that, the practical question changes. It is no longer only, will this make me look better? It becomes, will this make the place I live inside more honest, more stable, more breathable? It is no longer only, will people think I'm doing well? It becomes, am I actually well when no one is asking? It is no longer, does this help me become more impressive? It becomes, does this help me stop betraying myself in quiet ways? That is not a checklist. It is a new way of telling the difference between care and performance. The same action can come from completely different places. A workout can be care or it can be punishment. A clean outfit can be self-respect, or it can be armor. Reading a book can open your mind, or it can become one more way to prove you are deep enough. A strict routine can help you feel grounded, or it can become a system you use to make sure you never have to feel your own softness. The behavior is not the whole story. The relationship underneath the behavior matters. So the shift is not to stop caring about your appearance, your health, your growth, or your future. Those things matter. Wanting to be beautiful is not wrong. Wanting to be strong is not wrong. Wanting to be admired is not a moral failure. The problem begins when being seen as valuable becomes the only way you know how to feel valuable, because then you are never truly with yourself. You are always slightly outside yourself, watching the image, adjusting the image, protecting the image, waiting for the world to tell you if the image is good enough, and that is exhausting. There is a third option between neglecting yourself and constantly performing yourself. It is private respect. It is taking care of yourself in ways that may never become impressive. It is doing the small things that make life inside you more livable. It is choosing a real meal not because anyone will know, but because your body should not be treated like an afterthought. It is sleeping before you collapse, not because rest makes you more productive, but because you are not a machine that has to break before it deserves care. It is noticing when your mind has become crowded with other people's standards and quietly asking, do I actually want to live by this? It is looking at a habit and asking, is this helping me return to myself, or is it helping me hide from myself? That question can change more than it seems, because some things that used to look like care will start to look like pressure. Some things that used to look like laziness may start to look like a body asking to be heard. Some things that used to look like ambition may reveal themselves as fear. And some small, ordinary choices may begin to feel more meaningful than the dramatic changes you were waiting for. A glass of water, a quiet walk, a cleaner room, a real conversation, a boundary with your own self-criticism. A night where you do not keep scrolling because silence feels uncomfortable. A morning where you do not begin by measuring your worth against someone else's life. These things may not look impressive, but they are part of how a person returns to themselves, because in the end, other people can visit the temple. They can admire it, ignore it, misunderstand it, praise it, criticize it, compare it to others, but they do not live there. You do. Only you know whether the inside is peaceful or tense. Only you know whether your outer life reflects something real, or whether it is mostly a cover for a place you have not wanted to enter. Only you know when you are caring for yourself and when you are trying to earn permission to feel worthy. The approval of others can make you feel bright for a moment. But private respect is what keeps you from leaving yourself. And maybe maturity is not only becoming more attractive, more successful, more disciplined, or more impressive. Maybe part of maturity is learning to care for the parts of your life that do not receive applause. The meal no one sees. The rest no one congratulates. The decision not to hurt yourself just to prove you can endure more. The moment you come back to your own inner life and ask, is this still a place I can live? That may be where self-respect begins. Not when you finally become the version of yourself that the world approves of, but when you still choose to care for yourself before anyone is watching. And maybe the most frightening part is not that other people might fail to see your value. It is that somewhere along the way, you may have learned to see yourself only through their eyes.